Australia's not Australia anymore. We're selling everything off.
That's the Aussie way, mate.
Hey, big spender, come spend a little time with me.
Aussie Beach TV.
Have you had your tangy yet?
You're watching Aussie Beach TV. You're watching
Life sure is getting expensive.
Aussie Beach TV. The hottest girls you will ever see.
We're down here at Burleigh today, and I'm just about to ask Barry a couple of questions about the cost of living here in Australia. Okay, so what are your thoughts on inflation?
Well, inflation's getting way out of hand.
So what are your thoughts on inflation?
I wish it wasn't as high.
Not a great deal. I don't often think on a Sunday after the night that's just been.
Well, I don't think that wages are keeping up with it, you know. Basic supermarket items are going up, but we're not getting paid more, you know.
Oh, inflation rates are exceptionally high in this country. People are saying how much cheaper it could be to live overseas, and they're actually considering moving overseas because of the cost of inflation.
Inflation sucks when you're trying to borrow money for a house at the moment.
I don't have too many thoughts on inflation at the moment because I don't really have a loan on a house, and I think that's got something to do with inflation, doesn't it?
Yeah,
I don't really know about inflation.
Things like groceries are they're over the top at the moment, you know?
Yeah.
Petrol is nuts, and just generally the cost of living is through the roof.
I think you do have to become a tight ass to survive in this country. Because everything is going up so dear that if you don't tighten up, then you're going to lose everything.
Yeah, well, there's never any extra money to save these days, really. You're flat out sort of keeping up with the cost of living.
I mean, I'm shocked when I go into the big supermarkets, the Coles and Woolworths, you look at the price of veggies.
What do you think of the price of groceries?
Yeah, they've certainly been going up over the last 12 months that I've noticed. It's quite high. I've got a lot of friends that have gone and lived abroad in the States in particular, and they sort of comment on how much cheaper everything is over there. So.
Look, groceries are going up, and I think people are cutting back on things that are luxury items. You know, that they're the bare essentials and no treats. You know.
Groceries, I think the price of groceries has gone up way too much.
Yeah.
Especially, I'm a growing young man, got to love me feeds.
Well, you know, you go to the supermarket these days, just to pop in and get a few things for a meal will cost you $60, $70 in a lot of instances. Groceries are through the roof.
You're watching me on Aussie Beach TV. Aussie Beach TV. You're watching Aussie Beach TV.
You're watching me on Aussie Beach TV.
What do you think of the price of petrol and registration?
Well, I think that's an absolute joke.
Petrol is really gone out of this world with our prices. Just to fill your car up these days, you're looking at $80, $90 a week just to get you through, and you need to get places in your car.
What do you think of the price of petrol and registration?
Outrageous. I just filled up my wife's car this morning on the way here, $97. But I think there's a bit of collusion with the fuel companies, and the price doesn't go down when the price of oil goes down.
Registrations is nuts, you know. I mean, if you want to drive a V8 motor car, then it can be $850 to $900 a year.
I used to have a big van, and I sold it because of fuel. So
Registration's too expensive.
Very hard to afford for a young student to afford registration, petrol. Just to own it and run a car, it's very hard on a student, for instance, or somebody not in full-time work.
I actually just got a new car recently, so I deliberately went and bought a diesel car so it was a bit cheaper than a petrol.
It always seems to go up. It never seems to go down when the oil prices go down.
Most Australians, spending anywhere from $70 to $100 a week on fuel just to get around to and from work. And if you've got to pick up and drop off kids, then you're going through at least a tank of fuel every week.
Yeah.
So it's nuts. It's just another huge expense every year.
Crazy. So what do you think of the price of petrol and registration?
Petrol's a con job.
Yeah.
Total con job.
What do you think of the price of housing?
Too expensive.
Yeah?
They're way too high for what they are.
As soon as I own a house, I want it to go up, not down.
Yeah.
But if I was buying, I'd want it to go down, not up.
Oh, housing's a little bit of a joke at the moment, I think. We've got young kids, and when we first looked at our house, I think it was about $100,000 was a good house.
Yeah.
Now it's $350,000 to $400,000. So you're worried about how your kids are going to survive, and get a house and sort of do what you are. And is the Australian dream sort of, you're missing it, I think, nowadays. So
younger generation don't have a chance. My kids would be struggling to buy their own place.
Yeah.
They just can't do it.
Hard for young people to get a house here. It's just almost impossible.
I'm looking to buy my first property at the moment, and it's pretty tough to enter into.
I dread to be young.
You're watching me on Aussie Beach TV.
Aussie Beach TV. You're watching Aussie Beach TV.
You're watching me on Aussie Beach TV.
What do you think of the price of electricity?
Electricity is nuts. I live in a big home. My power bills are $1,500 to $2,000 a quarter.
Again, I mean, that's a necessity that seems to be increasing quite dramatically. I think 30% in the last 12 months, with a view that it's going to increase even further again.
Electricity's too dear. It's ridiculous.
Ridiculous?
Ever since they privatised it, sold off the... Yeah, it's no good. That is ridiculous price of electricity.
Yeah.
It sparked me up, that did.
Yeah, that is ridiculous. You have to be so self-conscious of what you do with using power at the moment.
That's another necessity in life that I don't think we can do too much about,
Big companies telling us what to do, coming up with excuses about putting in more infrastructure and charging us through the earth for it. People can't pay it.
They deregulate it to say that they're going to save money and all that. And look at it, it's gone up 200%.
What do you think of the price of cigarettes and alcohol?
Well, cigarettes got no comment because I don't smoke, so I don't really care. Alcohol, on the other hand, is something I do like and it's dear to my heart, and it seems to be going upwards too, so it'd be great to see it go down.
Yeah.
People who smoke and drink will buy it regardless of what the price is. They might change their brand if they're alcohol or drink less good quality wine and more beer, but the government can do whatever they like to cigarettes and alcohol because people who want it will still pay for it, and so they've got us trapped.
If they're going to cost them $20 for a packet of cigarettes, I'll pay $20 for a packet of cigarettes. Something's got to miss out though.
You're watching me on Aussie Beach TV.
Aussie Beach TV. You're watching Aussie Beach TV.
You're watching me on Aussie Beach TV.
Hey, what do you think of the price of cigarettes and alcohol?
Yeah, alcohol's a good one. I think probably alcohol's a bit of a sting.
Alcohol should definitely go down.
What do you think of the price of cigarettes and alcohol?
I don't smoke, but I know they're expensive. I have a lot of friends that do. Alcohol, I'm a pretty big drinker, so yeah, particularly in establishments, it's pricey.
I do love the fact that Corona's gone down ever since the dollar's gone up.
Even when you stick to local beer, it's still, some places are still $16, $17 a jug, which is pretty prohibitive.
It's bloody outrage. It costs so much. That's all I spend my money on, alcohol and cigarettes. It's terrible, eh? And it's nothing more Aussie than having a beer and a few ciggies at the pub, so I think they should be brought down a lot.
What do you think of the price of entertainment, such as concerts, restaurants and cinemas?
Crazy. I mean, to go and see a live gig these days is really expensive. $100, often more than $100. to take 2 kids to the movies and 2 adults, there's really little change. By the time you buy a few bits and pieces, there's little change out of $60, $70, you know. I don't know how it can be justified anymore.
I took my son to the movies last school holidays, and I think it was about $65 just for the 2 of us. I took my own water. He had popcorn and all the rest of it, but if you had a family of 4, you don't go to the movies. You might do it once at school holidays, but it's become a big treat. It's not just let's go to the movies, you know.
I guess the festivals are getting up there. Like, they seem to average out at about $170 a day now, which is a fair bit. So the whole doing a 3-day festival plus entertainment, you know, you're looking at almost $1,000 these days for the whole weekend. So it's a lot of money. A lot of money to do it every month or 2.
What do you think of the price of entertainment, such as concerts, restaurants and cinemas?
It's way out of my price range because I'm on a disability support pension.
You're watching me on Aussie Beach TV.
Aussie Beach TV. You're watching Aussie Beach TV.
You're watching me on Aussie Beach TV.
What is your best tip for saving money?
Saving money? Well, that's interesting. The best way to save money is don't get married. What is yours is hers, and what is hers is hers.
Best tip for saving money? Oh, gee. Best tip? Well, I suppose eat at home.
Yeah. What is your best tip for saving money?
Don't spend it.
Only buy what you can afford. Don't get into debt. Never ever buy what you can't afford.
Alright, what's your best tip for saving money?
I'm definitely the wrong person to ask about saving money. I don't really have any tips. You can't save much money on the Gold Coast, to tell you the truth. There's too much things to do. Too many beautiful ladies to see. Too many pubs to drink at. Like, really. Yeah, so I can't answer that one.
What's your best tip for saving money?
Don't smoke, for 1. 2, probably don't drive a car very far, I don't think.
We were talking about this morning, actually. Don't waste your money on takeaway coffees during the week. If you're spending $8 a day and you do that for 7 days, yeah, it adds up very quickly.
What is your best tip for saving money?
Have a budget, you know. Even though I don't have a budget, I can see that a lot of Australians need a budget, you know.
I recently paid off my credit cards and ditched them, and having that getting drunk and blindly flicking your credit card at the cab driver is what got me in a bit of trouble. So
have we all done that?
Yeah, I'd get rid of your credit cards and check your money. It hurts a lot more when it's your money.
That's a ridiculous question.
You don't have any tips for saving money?
Don't spend. Don't get tempted.
What is your best tip for saving money?
Grow your own veggies at home. And have chooks. We've got chooks, you know.
Oh, yeah.
I'll make a good omelette too, you know.
We got chooks back home too.
You're watching me on Aussie Beach TV.
Aussie Beach TV. You're watching Aussie Beach TV.
You're watching me on Aussie Beach TV.
How do you feel about the Australian politicians' recent pay rises this year?
Ridiculous. Do they earn it? No.
Well, that's outrageous as well. You know that I don't see how they can justify it, but people will vote with their feet at the next election. You know.
Okay, how do you feel about the Australian politicians' recent pay rises this year?
I think Julia Gillard should be paying us to have her as Prime Minister. I hate her.
It's absolutely disgraceful. She's a disgrace.
It's ridiculous. And she's doing a terrible job. I could do it for $1,000 a week.
You reckon?
And nail it. No, I'll probably give myself a pay rise, but you know.
Yeah, reckon the price of cigarettes and alcohol would come down a bit?
Definitely. I'm for the Aussie battler.
How do you feel about the Australian politicians' recent pay rises this year?
Ludicrous.
Well, I think that's an interesting question. I don't see why they're getting a pay rise, considering I think a lot of people would be asking the question, are they doing a really particularly good job? And I don't think that's so much the way that they're doing it. So yeah, I don't think so. I don't think they should get a pay increase.
I believe they should take a decrease for every time they stuff up. And no pay rises for the next 5 years.
It frustrates me seeing what they all get paid. I know they have an important job to do, but when everyone's struggling and they give themselves more, you know, that's tough. If they index themselves at inflation, you wouldn't whinge. But when they get $100,000 pay rises, it's tough to swallow.
I can't see how politicians are justified in having pay rises given the state of the economy. I mean, people in the corporate sector are being forced to take pay cuts, so how they can justify pay increases is beyond me.
Oh yeah, I think they should be more accountable, if anything. They should have like an Australian feedback survey where we have to judge them on their job. And a good job, sure, we pay them good, but a shit job, then they should be ousted.
I wish we could get those wage rises, even just a percentage. I mean, why does the average worker only get 3 and 4% and they get, I don't know how much, because I've never worked it out, but I know they're ridiculous amounts. Do we get a $50,000 pay rise or even a $5,000 pay rise every year when we get a pay rise? You know, I mean, you're probably lucky to get 20 or 30 cents an hour extra when you do get a pay rise. What does that add up to?
When don't they get the pay rises? That's the thing.
Absolutely disgusting.
Yeah.
Giving themselves big pay rises while they try and bloody get rid of jobs. I mean, jobs are going overseas all the time.
You're watching me on Aussie Beach TV.
Aussie Beach TV. You're watching Aussie Beach TV.
You're watching me on Aussie Beach TV.
Do you have a message to the politicians about the cost of living here in Australia?
Well, I think they've done surveys, and Australia is probably one of the most expensive countries in the world to live, overtaxed, and it's going to affect tourism. So if they don't do something about it, especially places like here on the Gold Coast when we rely on tourism, we're going to suffer big time, you know?
Do you have a message to the politicians about the cost of living here in Australia?
Well, if they're doing what they're doing, it's just going to get more and more expensive, like the carbon tax, you know. It's going to flow on to Joe Public and it's going to kill them, you know. It's killing everybody.
Yeah.
It's sending jobs overseas, industry overseas, food prices are going to be higher, electricity prices, everything's going to be higher, so absolute waste of time. But I love Australia. It's a great country.
Do you have a message to the politicians about the cost of living here in Australia?
You know, get back to reality. You guys getting paid a fortune and you don't really see the common people and what's happening. You know, if you come back down onto the streets where, you know, they're the people that you're trying to, you know, represent, you know, you really need to get back down to that level and see what's happening. It's hurting people out there at the moment and you're a little bit insulated to it, I think.
They should spend a week a year living in someone else's shoes and trying to juggle the bills. Like you're saying, $200 a week rent, $120 on not even cigarettes, but you know, living expenses, and then trying to live it on $35,000 a year. And again, politicians after, when their pension comes out, they should try and live like pensioners live. See what happens.
Our cost of living is extremely high compared to the rest of the world. We do live in the best country in the world, but it's something that we just have to fight to make it more affordable for everyday Australians. Don't forget the Australians are what you're in. You got voted in to look after your Australian public.
Aussie Beach TV.
Look, I think, you know, given the fact that this is a fantastic country, got a lot of commodities in our nation, that we should really be looking at why we're paying so much, and if there's any way of reducing it for the overall public, that would be a good thing.
face reality. People are not surviving. I mean, people are struggling. People on a fixed payment, pension. Things are going up, the pension doesn't follow. Other people are struggling. Everybody's struggling.
Come and live on the streets for a year. Get it down with the homeless people. Find out what it's really at. Don't live in your airy-fairy castles. That's my message.
Do you have a message to the politicians about the cost of living here in Australia?
Eat a dick, these are all faggots.
Well, as I always say, that life's not all beer and Skittles. Sometimes it's just beer, you know. There's still beer, you know. No Skittles, you know. You're watching me on Aussie Beach TV.